Hi, and welcome to Psych 245, Abnormal Psychology. We're going to have several videos, 3 videos in this orientation unit, just to help you get familiar and comfortable with the class and to set you up for success. So this first video is simply looking at the syllabus together and thinking about what you're going to have to do to earn your grade and what the timetables of our course will look like. So you can find your syllabus here on the left-hand toolbar. Just make note of the fact that if ever you come on and you can't see the left-hand toolbar, it just means that we'll have collapsed. Just to click that arrow and it'll come back. You're always going to land on the announcements page, but find the syllabus here. And my guess is many of you have already looked at the syllabus because it's been available for a little while. But we'll just have a quick conversation about it. Most of you have been at NVCC probably for at least a year. And are familiar with the idea, or at least you've been in college, certainly, if you're in this class. You're familiar with the idea of a syllabus, so I won't talk much about that. And as always with a syllabus, if we go back a page here, hang on one sec. Right, I've separated out the college policies document from stuff that is just relevant to our course, which is on the syllabus. So if you want to know about withdrawal or library hours, it's all in the college policies document. Important stuff, but not unique to our class. So rather than you getting that in the syllabus for every class, I put it in a separate document. Our syllabus, right, has lots of information that is unique to me and you and the work we'll do together. So first, we take a look at my office hours. Mondays and Thursdays, I will be physically in my office, hoping students will come by to talk about things, trouble you're having with the class, material you want to understand better or talk about more, assignment that you want to talk to me about, whatever it is. On Wednesdays, I will have virtual office hours in the evening. I won't be on campus then, but I know some of you work. I wanted to give you at least some evening availability. So that this link here is for those virtual appointments. I can do virtual appointments at these other times on Monday and Thursday when I'm in my office, but I am available for in-person appointments during those times as well. So I hope you will use my office hours. And I can make appointments at other times if necessary. So always reach out and ask. You have the course description, you have the required textbook that I think I mentioned in an earlier email to you. The learning outcomes are a nice list of what you should be able to do by the end of this class. I know students tend to skip over those, but I really would like you to look through those and think about the fact that that is what I'm hoping you're learning while you go along. Our whole course is going to be on Blackboard. I think you probably already know that already. We're asynchronous, meaning we don't have any scheduled meetings. You do have due dates that we'll talk about in a moment, but my guess is you're familiar with that from other courses. And again, this evaluation, this grading grid thing that you see here should look really familiar to your other classes. This is a college-wide grading scheme. The only thing that's different about the one I have here is because we will work on a 1,000-point system, I've just added zeros where that makes sense here. So otherwise it should look the same in terms of what the grading cutoffs are for letter grades. So let's spend a little bit more time thinking together about how you're going to earn your grade. That we work on a 1,000-point system. Anyone who's had me for class before, or maybe you're familiar with this from other faculty members, but you will have seen this before maybe. The 1,000-point system is a completely additive system. So every assignment or assessment has a number of points associated with it, and that is its value. There's nothing that's worth 20% of your grade, or right. So nothing is worth different weights. Everything is simply worth the points, and all the points are getting put into the same bucket, so to speak, to hopefully add up as close to 1,000 as possible. And that's true of extra credit points too. They just added to the bucket. And so I like this system. First, I think that it's a very fair system. The example I always use is that if you got a 50 out of 100 on an exam in traditional grading systems, that would be an F, and you'd get 0 points for the exam. It would be as if you hadn't taken the exam. In a 1,000-point grading system, you keep your 50 points. And so you knew half the material, you should get credit in your grade for knowing half the material, and that is reflected in the fact that 50 points get added to your total. There will be a running total in Blackboard that you'll be able to see. So the other thing I like about it is it's easy, it's transparent, that you know at any given time exactly how many points you have. You can then look to see how many points do you have left to earn or potentially earn. Another way of thinking about it is you could always look to see how many points have I lost. I like to think that students start with 1,000 points, and that you can keep all 1,000, but if you lose points, right, you can subtract that from 1,000 to see where you are. You will have 3 exams during the semester. They were equally spaced and equally weighted. There's no cumulative midterm or final. And so we'll go through 4 or 5 chapters. You'll have an exam. We'll go through another set of chapters. You'll have an exam. And we'll look at the timing of that in just a moment when we look at our calendar. If the exams are worth 120 points each, those are essay exams. So you'll have 4 essays for each one of the exams. And I know students get sometimes a little twitchy about essay exams, but the reality is that you and I are going to be approaching material and talking about material in a way that is higher order thinking and kind of big concept thinking, and essay exams reflect that best. And so essays match the kind of learning you're going to be doing in this class. And so in that way, they really are truly the best choice. So you have those 3 exams. I will release the questions to you on the day the exam opens. So there'll be a span of time, right, a week usually, when the exam is available for you to go in and take it. On the first day that it's available, I will also release the questions to you separately, so that if you choose to work in the background and kind of think about the questions before taking the exam, you can do that. I will put information out later to remind you that plagiarism is very, very important to avoid, and that giving you the questions ahead of time it means that you should be thinking more about them, but I should never find any information in those questions that matches other students' information or other information that you might have found elsewhere. But we'll talk about that more as we get closer. All right. Each chapter, we'll go through, I think we have 14 chapters. Each chapter has 2 required Blackboard discussions, and this will be the bulk of how we will interact with each other, and you will interact with your classmates on Blackboard. And so this is a big piece of the class. The first one in most chapters, though not the first chapter, will be you responding so it'll be you responding to a prompt in all cases. In most cases, that will be a case study or some other kind of clinical material that I'm giving you. Most of these will be small group discussions of this first in this first case. And so the first chapter, both forums are full course discussions. But starting with the second one, I will put you in for one of these 2 discussions. This first one that we're talking about, you will be in small groups. And you'll have material that I'll have given you. You'll need to discuss them as a small group. And then one person will volunteer to submit. I have worksheets, since you're just filling out a worksheet and telling me what conclusions the group came to. So those are 15 points each. The second discussion, the second required discussion, is a muddiest points discussion. That is always a whole class discussion. You are required to post a question you have about the chapter's material. Asking you to post questions is a way of getting you to engage more deeply with the material. It's to facilitate your learning. You're also required to attempt to answer at least one classmate, to answer their question. And so that, again, is worth 15 points. So altogether, right, these each are worth 195 points. Altogether, where you're looking at almost 400 points of the class being in the discussions. And we will talk a little bit more about the discussions when we're on the next video. But that is a big piece of your work for the class. You also have a term paper. Well, there's a separate video for that, so I'm not going to get into great detail here about that, but that is 200 points, and then there's 2 foundational assignments that help you make sure you're on track with that paper, and so with those, it comes to a total of 250 points. Okay. So I think that kind of captures most things other than there is a message in here. I do want you to take a read on that. And then we can look at the calendar that we have here. So this first week, the week that you've just started, is our orientation. Our first chapter work doesn't actually start until the week of Monday, 9/5 next week. Though I'll make that available to you starting on Wednesday this week. So if you want to look ahead and start looking at the material, you can. You will have a textbook chapter to read and lecture videos to watch for each one of these chapters, in addition to the graded work that we just talked about. And what you can see really clearly on here is we start a new chapter every Monday and finish a chapter every Sunday. You will have work always due on Thursdays and Sundays. And so you'll have initial work due on Thursdays. We'll look at this more in the next video. And then final work due on Sunday. So this is a good time to make note in your calendar that every Thursday and Sunday you have work due for this class. And so you can see we go through 4 chapters, and then you have exam 1. We go through another 5 chapters, and then you have exam 2. You can see where the works cited page for your term paper is due. It's all laid out pretty clearly. The individual work, the due dates for individual work within each chapter will be clearly listed on Blackboard, and we'll look at that in the next video so you can see how that will work. But otherwise, the only exception to make note here in our weekly calendar is the week of Thanksgiving. The college is closed Wednesday to Sunday, and so in that way, it would make it very hard to cover a chapter that week anyway. But I've given you that whole week away from required chapter work so that you can complete your term paper, which is due just on the other side of that holiday week. So if you're still working on it, feel free to finish it early and be free that week. But if you're still working on it, you won't have any competing work from me. Okay? And hopefully you just get to enjoy your holiday. All right, so that's the overview of the calendar and the syllabus. I will see you in the next video where we'll look at Blackboard together and just look at how I've organized Blackboard for you. And then a third video where we talk about the term paper.